Why, hello, everybody. This is Eric Virathaler, Sit Down by the Fire. I'm here with my next special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Eric. My name is Mary Riitano. I am based here in Helena, Montana, and I am an actress.
Why, thank you so much for sharing that. And I also want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here.
Oh man, I was looking forward to talking to you.
Oh, well, I certainly appreciate it, which is perfect they say that because I definitely have been looking forward to having you on my show.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. So, how about that you tell my audience, so what exactly got you started on your journey?
Wow, that's a big question. What got it started on my journey? Huh. At some point, I think your person's soul starts prompting them towards the things that light them up. And I've got uh, soul urgings at a very young age when I was in school. And I noticed when I was in third grade playing a mother to some children who was trying to protect her kids from knowing who the real Santa Claus was. And
Mhm.
I was so filled with joy. And it's one of those things when you're in a small town that doesn't have a lot of extracurricular in the arts, it takes a while for you and it to kind of find each other. There was some choir, there was some school plays, and it seemed like it was only into adulthood when I moved to Helena, actually, where someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you want to go audition at the local theater here?" And I thought, "Oh, wow, that sounds magnificent." And that's where the beginning of, I think the real beginning was for me discovering myself as an actress was auditioning here locally and noticing what was happening inside me and how much I wanted to share it in that way was through acting.
Awesome. And then, and then as the saying goes, the rest is history.
The rest is history, and oh boy, has it been a historical adventure for me. I did start out at a community theater and then went on to a great adventure with a friend of mine opening Black Box Theater. And if your listeners don't know what that is, it's typically a smaller theater that has very humble stage settings that you can pull production into that don't require like grandiose sets like maybe Oklahoma. These sets would be much more bare bones, and we took on a lot of more edgy material. And it was there I really grew my acting chops because the guy running that, his name was Jerry Morrison, uh, gave me the reins on some things and cast me in things that allowed me to explore my expression and also many aspects of film of theater, because it's not just acting, it's also understanding the marketing and stage building and costumes and finance. So I mean, I was involved in a lot of different facets of it. And when that closed about 13 years ago now, 14 years ago, I was kind of homeless as an artist, and I was raising my daughters at the time and dove into snowboarding and self development so that I could discover what was next. And one of my friends said, "Hey, you've been so good at the theater acting. Maybe you should think about doing film acting." And I thought, "Oh, what an amazing idea!" And that about 12 or 13 years ago began my film acting adventuring. And yes, here we are.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's all exciting. So, what exactly was your first experience doing film acting?
It was actually with that black box theater. We had a director come up and direct a show called The Underpants, which was it was a spin-off of an old screenplay, and I believe I want to say Steve Martin and some comedian took and rewrote, and it's called The Underpants. It's quite a comedic play, and the guy that came up to direct that was from Texas, and when he went back home, he was in the process of learning film himself. So it was I forayed into film acting slightly before that black box closed, and he put together a student production, and there was four of us from Helena that drove our little van down to Texas for our adventure. And so yeah, my first adventure was on a student film in Texas, and I can't even tell you what it was about at this point because it was so long ago.
Yeah, and I definitely have heard a lot of really good things about Texas, and yeah, and I actually know quite a bit of people down in Texas, like who are down in the film industry over there, and yeah, and they certainly, and yeah, they certainly all have told me a lot of really wonderful things about it.
Yeah, I think, well, as everyone knows, maybe, well, maybe not everyone. If you're not tracking the film industry, there are definitely big films coming out of there. And
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. My adventures down there, the filmmaking, I wish that I didn't even know where the film is at. The behind the scenes, as you know, when you're on set, it's the behind the scenes you want to make a movie about because all the behind the scenes things are so interesting. One of the things that was remarkable to me in that first film was avoiding bugs. I mean, there's scorpions and grasshoppers and katydids and all kinds. I mean, and they're not like little bugs; they're huge bugs. So, and I'm not a bug person. That's like you have all of that land out there. You can stay away from my business. So I had great fond memories of the filmmaking, but also memories of great big bugs down there.
So and then in another case, I guess you can say that they surely bugged you.
Yes. Very true. Very true.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I had a similar experience like on set of my first movie. My first movie, I played a zombie in a movie called Hobbs and Phil versus Zombies, and yeah, and I mean, it was filmed down in Moulton, Montana, and yeah, and it was boiling hot, and of course I was a zombie, so I had all this makeup all over me, and which only just added to the heat, and yeah, and bugs everywhere, and of course, because some of my makeup, like tasted a little bit sweet, and then I attracted some mosquitoes. So,
Oh, Lordy. Yes, for sure. Did you, with that makeup, I mean, what did it run? Would you have problems with makeup running and whatnot because it's so hot?
yeah, because it was so hot, a lot of the sweat like was going into the makeup, and I wanted to itch, but I knew that if I would itch, it then would ruin all that makeup. So
I know. Those first film adventures, I tell you what, they are priceless.
they are, yeah. They really are. And of course, people always say that you definitely never will forget about your first experience with pretty much anything, really.
Hmm. Yeah, when the filming was going on and I wasn't in front of the camera, I was doing whatever I could behind the camera, whether it was holding shade, or getting water for people because we wanted to make sure people stayed hydrated. I'll never forget when my scene came around though. What I can remember is that I was shot or like hit with something, and so I'm supposed to go and fall over, and do it safely. Of course, you don't want to just like free fall and hit your face. So I mean, I dropped to my knees, and then I you know died or whatever was supposed to happen to me. And I remember cut had not been yelled out yet, so I'm just laying there wondering what's going on above me while I supposedly dead or passed out. And then I started like moving around. It's like I had fallen right into an ant pile. So at one point, I did not wait for cut. I sprung up, and I was like ripping off any like sweater that I had on, trying to get it off because I was just covered with ants.
Oh god. But yeah, that whole thing where you said about being covered in ants, it sounds like something right out of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, yeah, we were backwoods of Texas areas. Yeah, he didn't like what is it? What was it that he didn't like though? He didn't like the rats, right? He
I
didn't.
think he didn't like the
The
snakes.
snakes. That's what it was. The snakes. Okay.
Well, and I mean, I, I mean, if you were to look at a lot of snakes, you can't really blame him though.
Mm-mm. Nope, nope. I'm not a snake person either. Snakes or bugs, they can go somewhere else.
Yeah, and I mean, I do get why I do get why that they do it is so that they could taste the air, but just the way how they do that with their tongues just always freaked me out.
Yeah, that's uh, boy. It's been a while since I've dove into any kind of animal study. There's a reason why snakes stick out their tongue though, like that. Is it to smell?
From my understanding, it's because that they want to taste the air.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, of course, since they don't got arms or legs or anything, I mean, they got to be aware of their surroundings somehow.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so out of all acting experiences that you've had, which one would you say has been your personal favorite one?
Oh gosh. There's I have a fond memory, at least one fond memory from everything that I've done. I would have to say I have really fond memories of my most recent film that got done on the film festival circuit probably about a year ago. And the title of that short film is Swing. And what I remember about it was the ease and the cheerfulness that was on set that we had when we filmed. And a lot of times people, and I've been through a lot of different films where things can be rough. I mean, when you're dealing with bare bone budgets, a lot of people are wearing a lot of hats, so things aren't always ideal. And the fact that this short film came off with so much ease, it was fun to be in an environment where things were clicking really well. I don't have a particular good memory. I just remember feeling really good being on set.
Yeah, and of course, every film that I've been a part of also has been, low budget indie films. And yeah, and I mean, of course, since their budgets are so low, I mean, you have people doing multiple things at once, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do. But if it makes people feel better, like uh, you know, some of the biggest movies ever made actually were independent films, like Halloween and so on and so forth. And I mean, I do understand horror is not everyone's cup of tea, but at the end of the day, and I mean, there certainly is a market for it.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and I mean, in the original Halloween, you actually had like one of like the you actually had like the guy like who actually made the Michael Myers mask actually play Michael Myers in one scene, and so you definitely really will get people doing more than one thing, like for a lot of films out there.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. When you're doing your films and your character development that you do for your films, I probably should ask, you do a multiple different things on a film. You act, you're helping with like set location. That would be should be my first question to you is besides acting, what else do you do on films when you're doing the independent films you do?
Yeah. I also script write. Uh, I also direct, and yeah, and I also know quite a bit of other people in the movie industry, like who also do the same thing. Yeah, like I had an actor on the show once, like who actually like was like a puppeteer, like in another movie, and I can imagine that he never thought that he ever would be a puppeteer. But hey, I mean, work is work, right?
Right, exactly, exactly. When you're prepping for a role, is there anything particular that helps you? 'Cause you're, like you said, horrors. It's very specific genre, and is there something particular, like in the last role that you had, that helped you when you were prepping for a role?
Yeah, and I mean, I really tried to understand the character that I play. I'll ask questions about the character. I'll do research about the character. Like a really good example, even though it's for an acting class, I actually had an assignment would like to act out a scene from a movie, and so then I picked Bicentennial Man. Is the movie like with Robin Williams where he plays a robot and then he becomes more and more human as time goes on.
Hmm.
I rewatched the movie and I, really delved deep into the character. And then I was like, okay, if I was a robot that lived on for 200 years, seeing all my loved ones that I've ever loved, get old and then eventually pass on, how would I feel about that? And while being immortal, it may sound cool at first, but when you really think about it, though, I mean, just think about just how hard it would be to sit there and then be forced to see everyone you've ever loved pass on. It's like how much of that could you take?
Yeah, it's a very thoughtful question, and it sounds like you like to take an inspiration and then dive deep in it and make it your own.
Oh yeah, certainly, yeah. And yeah, and like basically you are playing someone else. and
Mhm.
and and so and then I mean, of course, there are characters who could be very, very similar to you, yes, of course, but at the same time, no one is ever an exact copy of you.
No,
And so therefore, but yeah, and I mean, trying to be as empathetic as possible definitely will do you huge favors whenever it comes to acting. Like, and an example of an actual role I had, I was outside of class when I got to be in that Cecily Rose video. I was just some casual guy, just minding his own business. And then there was a huge misunderstanding that happened. And then I get into a big fist fight. It's like, okay, how would you feel like if you just got attacked by some random person out of nowhere, like where you were just minding your own business, and then you two get into a huge bar fight? So yeah, I mean, of course, you wouldn't be too happy if you had like a beer bottle smashed on your head, and then you and then get into a big fist fight with somebody. So, you know, what I imagined was I would feel really, really angry about that. And then I went back to my past. I was like, okay, what were some times in my past that made me super, super angry? I thought of that. I put on my most angry face, and yeah, and pretty much I just convinced my body, like, okay, 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 like, how would you feel like if you were in this moment for real without those cameras there?
and that leads to a more fully embodied character. It sounds like combining the mental aspect and the physical aspect.
Oh yeah, certainly. And I must have done a good job, since everyone who's seen the music video all has said, "Oh my gosh, all those punches look for real," and it all looks so, so real. And
Good, good, good.
so certainly I must have done something right.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, it sounds like that. Maybe once we're off the air, you can shoot me an email because I don't think I've seen that one yet. So you can shoot me a link
Oh
if
yeah,
it's out there.
oh yeah, certainly, yeah, and I will honestly say that that's my favorite acting experience I've ever had. And yeah, I was just gonna be an extra, but then I was at the right place at the right time, and so yeah. And as I've said before, the rest is history.
Yep, the rest is history.
So yeah, and funny thing is, Cecily Rose is a part of Rocky Mountain Agency, and from what I saw on your Instagram, you also are a part of Rocky Mountain Agency, right?
Yeah, I am. I just signed with Carly for this upper Northwest area for representation with the Rocky Mountain Agency, and had a few auditions come through for short films. And as always, looking for those full length features that are in my vision and imagination to be in. But yeah, I am signed with Rocky Mountain Agency.
Nice, awesome. So what exactly? So yeah, so what exactly started the whole thing about you being a part of Rocky Mountain Agency?
I've been looking for an agent for a little while, and I had taken a class out of LA, and I was doing really well in the class. And long about the time I finished class and I was starting to do some pitching through emails, they had the writers go on strike, and then the directors almost went on strike, and then I think the actors followed. Right? Is that there was definitely
From what I remember, I think it was the actors first and then the
and then the
writers,
writers. Okay,
but yeah,
yeah,
I am pretty sure that that's how it all
I
went
forget
down.
the
Yeah.
sequence of it. So yeah, that kind of shut down the rest of Hollywood after because this was a couple of years ago now, and um, the pandemic had already taken down a lot of business, so to speak, that was happening at least in LA area. It seems like the business had slowed down quite a bit. So yeah, I wasn't so successful with my first round of LA pitching for agents, and I had met Carly at a film festival there in Missoula. They have the Montana Film Festival that happens every October, and I met her. And I thought, I know an agent. Let's start a conversation there and see what she thinks, see if I'm a good fit for her agency and also getting more connected to the Montana projects that are happening. So, yeah, that's how as you say, the rest is history. I had an interview and we looked at my materials and I got in.
Awesome, awesome. But yeah, it's pretty short, sweet, and simple, and to the point, right?
Mhm. Yes, it is. Yeah,
Nice, awesome. But yeah, I definitely have met Carly plenty times, and yeah, yeah, and she definitely is a pretty wonderful person.
she is. She's very lovely, very forward thinking, and very put together.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And from what I saw, her and her husband Robert recently had a kid.
Yeah, they did. They started a family, which is lovely.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't remember if it's a boy or if it's a girl.
It's a little boy.
Awesome, awesome,
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cute, cute, cute. And yeah, and there actually was one time when I was just sitting in my bedroom, I was just watching TV before I went to bed, and then a commercial came on, and it was a commercial that had Robert. So I was like, oh my goodness, that's Robert.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
yeah, and then afterwards, there, there was a Montana Reels night that was down in Polson, Montana, and then I saw Robert there, and I was like, hey man, I watched the commercial, and then you have it too that came on, and he was like, yeah, it was a last minute thing since that the actor who was gonna do it pulled out at the last minute, and then Carly then asked me to do it, and but yeah, and I mean it's a pretty awesome feeling like when you do a commercial and then people see it and just knowing that those people who saw it can actually say that they know somebody who was in that commercial.
Yeah, it's there's something very edifying about that for sure, for sure. Yeah, you mentioned the Montana Real Nights, and Carly's pretty active, as I have been in the Montana Media Coalition, and we were um, successful at maintaining the film tax credit here in Montana and moving that forward. We didn't get the money we had hoped for in that round of legislature, but that's not to say we can't go back in a couple of years. I don't know if your listeners would know what a film tax credit is, and it's uh, it's some legislation that is put into law in any state can do this that allows for so if you were to come here and film in Montana and turn in your receipts and you're an accredited uh, licensed production that's using and employing Montana resource and people, then you can put in for a tax credit, which you can then sell the tax credit for like Northwestern Energy or someplace, some Montana Book Company, someplace that would pay taxes, and then they would get a reduction on the amount of tax that they owe. So that provides the film tax credit in any state provides an incentive for filmmakers to come there and film.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I understand, if you don't have those tax credits, if you don't have those tax incentives, nobody is going to want to come to your area, like to go film anything, which is from what I heard, that's the reason why the Atlanta, Georgia at one point actually did beat Los Angeles like as the film hub of the entire world. And yeah, and I mean, like for anybody like to outdo Los Angeles, I mean that's quite the accomplishment. But hey, and I mean it really is an underdog story, and and I've had a lot of people from the Montana film community who have come onto my podcast, such as Melanie and plenty of other people who have said that yeah, people told me that I was never gonna have a film career simply because I'm in Montana. But then, thanks to those tax credits, Montana and I got those opportunities, and and it just makes me so happy, like for all those people in the Montana film community who have told me that people told them that they'll never be able to pursue filmmaking in Montana because they're in Montana, and then and then just for them to prove them all wrong, like for them to be in somewhere in Montana, and there was that one vampire kung fu movie that had Eric Roberts in it. I think it was Kung Fu Slayers, I believe.
Maybe, I don't know. I there is
Yeah,
definitely film that's happening here. You know, my grandmother used to tell me as a child, "Where there's a will, there's a way." And I think there's been a lot of will from many different communities across Montana to have film located here, film originate here, whether it's original stories or hosting films that come here from anywhere, really. I mean, they could come here from Washington or California or from Massachusetts. Yes, you are right. That film tax credit is an incentive for people to film here. However, I would also say that it's not the only way to film. Film tax credit can be a tantalizing reason to come here to film. However, our landscape and talent and the people here really support it as well. And you can film without the film tax credit. It just makes a nice cherry on top when it comes to your budgeting and stuff.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah, and yeah, and I mean, and considering like the Yellowstone like was filmed here, and I mean, and Yellowstone is one of the most popular shows out there, like with Kevin Costner, and yeah, and I mean, a lot of the actors here in Montana all have told me that yeah, like that when they got to be on that show, and even with like the prequel show, I think 1923, I believe.
Yep, 1923 sure did. It filmed in the whole first season. I'm pretty sure the entire first season was filmed in Butte. And the season two that they just finished, they did pickup shots and exteriors in Butte. Maybe some filming. I'm not in on the production, so I have no inside knowledge. I'm
Right.
going by what I've read, and then a big chunk of it was filmed in that season was filmed in Texas.
Yeah, that that was what I heard when I was on set, like for the Cecily Rose video. I believe it was Carly or Jesse Gentry, like who mentioned that Yellowstone moved to Texas because of tax reasons. As far as
Mhm.
what I understand, I mean, I'm sure that there's more nuances to that, and I understand that I might be simplifying it, but yeah, but that's as far as my knowledge goes. Is that for at least a little bit, like the Yellowstone did go switch over to filming in Texas. And I mean, you do have a few similar landscapes like like in Texas.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's my dog. I'm so sorry. You better
I thought you meant to. Whoa, Eric, did
no.
you eat some lunch there?
You're right.
What's your dog's name?
Simba.
Simba. Oh, that's very sweet.
But yeah, and I mean that right there totally should not be a dead giveaway as to what my favorite movie is.
The Lion King, one of them.
Oh, why would you ever think such a thing?
Well, you just named your dog after one of the main characters of the movie, or the main critters in the movie, I guess.
Which is pretty ironic considering that I named a dog after a pussycat.
Yes, that is actually ironic, but
It
that's
is.
also very very sweet.
So with that said, what is your favorite movie or favorite movies? If you had to at least name
Mm.
like a top three.
You know, I I Man, that's such a hard question. What I appreciate a pretty wide genre of movies. It's funny, horror films are actually my least favorite because I have such an overactive imagination. It's like I can hardly get up in the middle of the night without thinking that there's something underneath my bed still, and I'm a grown ass adult. Um, but I really appreciate original work. I appreciate work that's been very thought out. And the movie that came to mind immediately, and because I've watched it, I bought it and I've watched it a lot, is As Good as It Gets with
Hmm.
Helen Hunt, Greg Kinnear, Jack Nicholson, Cuba Gooding Jr. And what I really appreciated was the drama of that movie, the dry comedy, the quick wit that and chemistry between all four of those characters, and how it elevated the relationship and how much each of them struggled to express themselves. And it was so beautifully filmed. So it kind of hit all the points that I think a great film should hit. It was original to me. It was anyway. Maybe the story's been done years ago, but to me, it was an original. The actors' chemistry. It was well directed, well shot, and yeah, it really made me feel on a lot of different levels. Feel so much that I actually bought the movie, and I probably watched it, I don't know, 14, 15 times. I mean, I've watched it a lot, 30 times. I don't know. It's kind of like one of my comfort movies.
Yeah, I have seen that movie, but I haven't seen it in quite a while.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, but yeah, and I mean, Jack definitely is starting to, yeah, and I mean, it's just a shame that you don't really see him in a whole lot of movies anymore. But from what I've seen, I mean, he definitely does seem to be enjoying like the life of being retired. And I mean, heck, and I mean, Jack has left behind one heck of a resume.
Yeah, he's got one hell of a legacy of work behind him. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah, yes, he has an incredible legacy. But as for other films, I'm trying to think. I mean, I know it was a big blockbuster hit, yet it was still fresh and original. I really enjoyed the Barbie movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The combination of story and cheekiness and music, and it was fabulously filmed and directed. I'm trying to think of some other films that I've seen recently. There's a film, and I sometimes, being a film connoisseur, ourselves, I wish I had a better memory of like who directed the things that I really like and the actors
Right.
that I see. I saw an independent film. I believe it was filmed in France or had a lot of French actors in it, and the title of the independent film was Emily, and it was
Okay.
based on the story of actually Emily Bronte, the woman who wrote Wuthering Heights. It
Okay.
was so beautifully done. I remember there was such a small group of us all huddled in the center of the theater watching the movie, which is the best experience ever, is to get together with maybe some known or unknown people, and we're all immersed in this experience. We all walked out of the theater and we were gobsmacked as to how well the movie was done. And then there was this pause, and then the five or six of us were just erupting with chatter on what we thought of this part or that part and how did that relate to this and that. Uh, because Emily Bronte herself is such a mystery. And I really appreciated that movie because I've acted in a screenplay version of Wuthering Heights, and it's now out. I can send you those links too, as well.
Okay.
It's out on Ms. Movies Film is Now. And seeing that independent film, Emily, really helped me after the fact get into the headspace of Emily Bronte and why she wrote Wuthering Heights. I wish that movie had preceded my debut in Wuthering Heights because it's fun and interesting when you can see a story done on the author of the material and then the material itself that she wrote that is in film format.
Oh
So I,
yeah, certainly. And yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Barbie because a lot of people who I know down in LA, they said, yeah, I mean, we knew Barbie was going to be a hit, but we didn't think it was going to be that big of a hit. And I
mhm.
mean, I can say the same thing. I'm like, wow, Barbie was $1 billion movie, and I mean,
Hmm.
and yeah, and I mean with the whole Barbenheimer craze. I mean, from what I remember, none of the filmmakers ever intended on that Barbenheimer craze, but just it happened. It was a cultural, it was just a part of culture, with like,
Moments in film culture, exactly. I really enjoyed that movie as well, Oppenheimer. Incredibly well done, unbelievably acted, uh, an incredible representation of that place in history. And for me, I ended up having to talk to my brother a little bit afterwards because my mind doesn't work strategically as much or scientifically. So I had to have some explanation as to where the wars were and how the scientific discoveries and how all that lined up. So it really stretched my ability to understand that world. I
mhm.
thought Oppenheimer was fabulously done.
Oh, it was, and yeah, and I mean, not a spoiler. It's because it's about Oppenheimer. Like during that scene with like the actual bomb. From what I heard, none of that was CGI.
Wow.
And so knowing that that was not done with CGI, that was all done with practical effects. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Really, really impressive.
Yeah, and I guess it's because that we've gone so accustomed with seeing CGI that that whenever we see any sort of effects in movies, that we always think it's CGI.
Hmm.
But that was done for real.
Wow. Incredible little tidbit. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either up until after I finally saw the movie. I didn't see it up until like a year later when they had a showing of it at the Babcock Theater in Billings.
Hmm.
And yeah, and and if you're gonna see any movie, I mean, of course, you could definitely watch them at home. I mean, no one's gonna tell you that you can't. But if you really truly want to get the full experience in, seeing it on the big screen really is the true experience.
I couldn't agree with you more. Definitely. Movies are meant to be seen in big format. The story is meant to move you in a larger than life format. And the amount of detail and nuance that goes into building all of the world that that film lives in, it's so much more of a rich experience in the theater.
Oh, it is, yeah. And so, with that said, have you happened to have seen any of the Montana Made movies on the big screen, like
Oh heck
such
yeah, I
as
have. They're probably all tired of me coming to them because I'll go to them like multiple times whenever they show. It's like a Independent Spirit Award here for Montana film. I just love our Montana film. The last thing I saw, I believe well, there was two that I saw, and I can't remember the last thing I saw, but there was Cuisine de Apocalypse that was done by a production company in Hamilton, Kyle Weinert and Zuzu Weinert,
Yep, yep.
and then Somewhere in Montana, which was directed by Brandon Smith. And I think I've seen Somewhere in Montana in the theater four times, and I've seen Apocalypse I think three times. So yes, I see our films. It's important. It's definitely important for our local communities to see those films because those films are the heart and soul of Montana talent in front of the screen and behind the screen. And also, equally as important, those production teams, they utilize the hotels, the lumber yards, the grocery stores, the restaurants while they're all in production. So it's very important when um, our lovely Montana films screen here that they people go see them.
Yeah, and yeah, and it's also definitely really nice to know that that when they made those movies, that they're helping to accommodate for the actors. Is because of course they'll need somewhere that they'll have to stay. They also will
Hmm.
need food because of course you can't just not eat and you can't just not sleep.
Hmm. Yes, yes, it's a community supported art project, and those are definitely very important to see. And it is fun when you can see a project and It's like, oh, I know that landscape, or I know that building, or of course there's faces on the screen that it's like, oh yes, that's my significant other, teacher, I don't know, lawnmower guy, who knows, what other jobs that each cast and crew has, as well as the film work that they do.
Oh yeah, certainly. And you probably will agree. It's just like when you first watch a movie and then you don't know anybody from that movie, it makes it it makes it a different experience. But when you watch a movie and then you actually know the people in it, that also can make the experience a very unique one.
Yeah, I definitely would 100% agree. There's something just a bit more personal about the experience of going to a film theater and seeing your people on screen, and also seeing the names that show up in the credits for everyone who's behind the camera.
Yeah, and I mean, people have to remember that that it's not just the actors who put in all the hard work. It's everyone else who has put in like their blood, sweat, and tears into that movie, and and just. But yeah, when you say it makes it more personal, like just knowing that some of those actors who I know on the screen like worked their tail off, and then had to use that as motivator just to prove all their naysayers wrong. You know, um,
Mhm.
it just makes it feel so satisfying, like to see those people winning up on screen.
Yes, winning up on screen, and their heart is just, I don't know what those two films that I've seen that are the most recent ones, including my own as well. You can feel the heart because you know the people. Like you said, you can feel the heart just beating off of the screen, and
Hmm.
sending out waves of love and entertainment. And I just get all soft and mushy about it because it matters so much to me that people's um, that stories in Montana are being told by Montanans, are acted by Montanans, and having crew by Montanans. It's a very important thing, and that's actually, I think it's really important for each state. I mean, if we're in Oklahoma or South Dakota, that each state gets a chance to play on the screen whatever projects are coming their way, or they're being created originally from there.
Oh yeah, certainly, I mean yeah, and yeah, and I mean it's just a really cool experience when you watch a movie and then you actually know them, and yeah, and and I mean of course people also have to remember this. And while there isn't anything wrong with being a fan of so and so movie that so and so person
Oh
did, and I
gosh,
mean,
no.
of course, and I mean, as you probably seen on my Facebook, I definitely have quite the autograph collection, and
Yes, you do.
yeah, and so, but at the end of the day, we also have to remember that they are people too.
Yep, that's 100%. 100%.
So yeah, so if you could work with anybody, who would you want to work with?
Oh, I have a long list. Gosh, and I think the people that I would that are in my vision to work with, like director wise, has to do with their end product and how they view humanity and people. Like Martin Scorsese would be definitely at the top. Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
Greta Gerwig, um, Noah Brumbaugh would be at the top up there, and there's Ron Howard, Imagine
Ron Howard. Yeah.
Entertainment. Yeah. One of the places I really have my eye on, and I don't know how I can get a foot in the door yet, but the production company A24 is really, it's a part of the Imagine Entertainment, which is Ron Howard and Brian Grazier. And A24 uh, has been producing a lot of films leaning towards original content, and also introducing a lot of new talent from all walks of life. And I'm trying to think of the movie right now. And oh gosh, I saw it. Zach Efron was in it, and it was about three brothers. And I went, oh, and I don't want to get on my phone right now. Uh, So yeah, if I was looking at, directors, of course, what A24 has got going on is, to me, bringing in a wave of story that's got a very multifaceted uh, perspective. And so, yeah, I kind of like leaning into some production companies. Where else would I would drop into besides looking at directors?
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, as far as those names go, I can see why that you would name all of them because those are all some very very talented actors. And I heard somebody say once that Christopher Nolan actually should do a James Bond movie, and it wasn't until when someone said that I was like, considering like his style of movies, and considering the style of the recent James Bond movies, like with Daniel Craig, I'm like, that's a really good choice.
That'd be a good fit. I agree.
So yeah, so with that said, who would you cast as the next James Bond?
Oh dear Lord. I've watched some of the James Bonds. Oh gosh. I don't know. You said Daniel Craig, and he's been like the last iteration of the James Bond, if I'm
Yep,
not mistaken, right?
yep,
I'm gonna throw
correct.
that
Yeah,
question right back at you. How about you? What would you think? Because nobody's coming to mind right now.
that's all right. But yeah, a lot of people have been saying Henry Cavill, and honestly,
Oh,
I
yes.
would say
Okay.
the exact same thing. It's because he has that look, and yeah, and I mean, he would be absolutely perfect as James Bond. Absolutely
Mhm.
spot on perfect. And I mean, if not Henry Cavill, maybe some unknown actor, sure. But I mean, if you're gonna go with a bigger name actor, Henry, I feel like is just absolutely spot on.
Yep. Nope, that's fair. Yes. That I would concur.
Awesome. I am definitely really glad that you agree. Someone said Tom Hardy, and I mean, I get why they would say that. It's because of Tom Hardy, has worked with Christopher Nolan before on like Dark Knight Rises, and there was that World War II movie that Christopher Nolan did. I can't remember its name. Somebody probably will type it in the comments as soon as this is up, and then I probably am gonna kick myself for it. But
I know, it's so funny when you're in the middle of conversation, sometimes it's funny how your memory works because you're in the conversation and remembering details from things that you've seen, and, also there's I can't say it's a high pressure, but there's a pressure to be engaged in a conversation, and my brain goes, "Eh," just flatlines. It's like, "It's okay." It
that's
just
pretty funny. But
flatlines
yeah,
for a second.
yeah, I mean, I can see why people would not say Tom Hardy, but I mean, of course, Tom Hardy is handsome, yes, and Tom Hardy definitely does fit the physical components to James Bond. Because if you're gonna be James Bond, I mean, you definitely better know how to kick some ass.
That is
But
true.
yeah, but
It's true.
I don't know. It's just you have to have like that suaveness, and I feel like that Henry Cavill more so fits that criteria more so than Tom Hardy. But I'm sure that there probably will be some person in the comments saying, "No, I disagree because of this or that."
Yeah. Well, it's food for discussion. We'll be giving some people when they watch this some food for discussion over their next coffee, tea, or if they like a microbrew or a glass of wine or a dinner, whatever they might. Will provide them food for discussion.
Exactly, yeah, and a civil one.
Yes, please keep it civil. Oh God, no throwing knives, forks, spears, or anything else, or punches for that matter. It's all in good. It's all in good fun having a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, you did say they had to get going soon, and I do want to respect your time. But yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. But yeah, with all that said, my final question: what's some advice that you would give to anybody, just about life and just pursuing the film industry?
Hmm, that's a big question. One of the things that's been really coming to me as of late is how important it is to take time by myself. And I've done this for years. So the practice has been there. I'm deepening the level of understanding of taking time by myself to reflect and write about what's going on in myself. And most importantly, shutting out your phone, your noise from every avenue that you can get noise so that you can hear your soul, because your soul is what guides you through whether it's going to be the next adventure in filmmaking, the next relationship that you are in, or maybe it's something as simple as what to cook for dinner. Your soul has got, ooh, chicken sounds good tonight. Chicken and with maybe a little squeeze of lemon. So yeah, it's important for oneself, for myself anyway, to sit down, block out the noise. What is my soul saying to me? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, or at the end of our lives, we want to say we did right by our soul. We did what our soul was calling us to do and lived in right accordance with it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because life is just way too short, like to
Oh,
not
Jesus, yeah.
go do what you want to go
Hmm.
do.
Way too short. Yep.
Exactly, yeah. But anyways, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And yeah, you and I definitely will keep in touch.
We'll keep in touch. And thank you for this fun sit down by the fire interview and your time as well, Eric. You
Oh
conduct
yeah.
a good interview.
Thank you so much. You'll have a fantastic day, and I will leave a link in the description for people to follow you on Instagram.
That would be fabulous. Thank you.
All right.
Mwah.
Of course. See ya.